Welcome to The Gorgeous Effect, the podcast that's about to rock your marketing world. I'm Julie Chanel, and with my co-founder, Kathy Olson, we're the masterminds behind Funnel Gorgeous and FG Funnels. We're about to drop some serious tea on how to create funnels that not only look amazing, but actually convert into customers. We'll chat mouth-watering offers, copy, design, and give you an inside look of some of our best and worst funnels. No smoke and mirrors, just real strategies that work from two ladies who have been around the funnel block. So grab your coffee or something stronger, we won't judge, and get ready to unleash the gorgeous effect on your business. It's time to show the world what you've got. Let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Gorgeous Effect. I'm Julie here with my business partner, Kathy, and today we are unpacking a weird change in the market that we have noticed that is happening across industries, and we thought, you know what, you guys should know about this. So we're just going to dive right in, and today we're specifically going to focus on opt-in rate. So that means when you have a page out there on the interwebs, how many people are actually opting in, giving you their email address. Now, historically, we have always said 20% is the floor, right? That is what you want people. You want 20% of people to opt in. We have seen opt-ins as high as 50, 60, even 70% if you're doing a really amazing job and you have really warm traffic. So the bad news, and hopefully we'll get to some good news at the end of this episode. The bad news is that 20 is now not the floor. 20 is now, it's not the ceiling, but it's like, I don't know, waist high, because opt-in rates are plummeting across industries. And I know you've been hearing it in the masterminds you're in, murmurings. So I want to talk about this today so people don't feel so alone.
I know that's the biggest thing is it's not just you. It's happening everywhere, but there is still, like you said, there are still people who are getting good opt-in rates, which means it's not everyone. And so as long as there's like still opportunity for improvement, but there's always been an opportunity for improvement. Even, when we were at 30%, 40%, you can always do things to get to, 45, 50, right? So there's always room for improvement no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we have been running a webinar all summer long, and it was very common for us to get 30, 35%, even to cold traffic. And we are struggling to get to 20%. We briefly hit 20% when we first started. We dipped as low as 14%. Oh my goodness, this is horrible. Like it was like 5-alarm fire in my head. This was kind of the same. Remember when we launched Launch Gorgeous live webinar edition and we started the ads and the opt-in page did 12% and then we got it up?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. How could I forget?
But we have been optimizing this page, and still, as of this week, it's at 19.9%. So we are working like dogs to get to 20%. And I have at least 4 or 5 private clients who are running a lot of ad spend. I have one client in particular, she runs a ton of ad spend, and she said, Julie, I've done this every single year, and the one metric that I have always relied on to be the same is the opt-in rate. And so I didn't figure it in this time for my optimizations because it's always been the same. And she said it has plummeted. So it's not just you. Like that's great marketers are struggling. So the question first and foremost is why? Why do you think this is happening? And this is we're just shooting from the hip about this because I haven't fully figured it out yet.
Yeah. I mean, my first instinct would be to dive into the psychology and just kind of putting yourself in their shoes. So if I'm seeing a lot of offers and I'm not opting in, why is it that I'm not opting in? And so I would say, okay, well, either it's not a good fit for me, or like I'm just burnt out and exhausted and there's too many, like that, like it's kind of flooded and I'm sort of like blind to it, right? Like because we're not talking about people not clicking. We're talking about people who have clicked and they're looking and they're not opting in. So like that's a big distinction. And they're on the page. They've clicked the actual ad and they're not giving you the information. So what did you not do or like what state of mind was I in to not trade you my email address, and so I think that is something to think about. And then I would think I would just back it out of like, what are they, why are they asking too much? Why is my email too much for that? Right? Like, why am I not willing to give it? And most of the time it's too big of a leap. Like whatever they're offering in exchange for my email address is not enough. So if they're like, they're almost asking for too big of a jump. This is like interesting because I was in a design summit last week, and people were talking about how do I get more people to book me, and I'm like, or how do I get more people to pay me? And I was like, well, first of all, how do you get booked, right? And it was a call, so I was like, no. So your goal is not for them to pay you. The goal is for them to talk to you. So like it needs to,
Right.
right? Like you're asking for too much. If you're asking them to land on your page and pay you, you're jumping way too far. And then I'm like, and then also, what are you bribing them with to get on the phone with you? Like, why is it even worth it to get on the phone? Like they're thinking step 100. So anyways, that's a good example of kind of what I'm thinking of maybe your ask is too much. Like when they're
Yeah.
not opting in, whatever in exchange for their email address, they're not seeing the reciprocation, right? Of like it's not worth their email address.
Yeah. I mean, I think flooding the market where it just becomes so noisy. So an email address is valuable, especially when, people are trying to get less information, less notices, less whatever. And so it is, you cannot like, you've got to get all the basics down, right? It's got to be mobile optimized. It's got to have alignment between the ad and the landing page. Like you got to do all the basics and you cannot leave those out. But then it's like what you said is like, is what you're offering valuable enough? Because I think we still, as people who create opt-ins, we think, well, it's free. Of course you want it. Not necessarily, because attention isn't free, right? And so there is a value exchange. And I think if we start to think about like what we used to say this, we actually said this in what? Oh, the Audience Builder Challenge. Your freebie has to be something that most people pay for. And that now tips the value. So they're like, okay, I'm going to give my email address for that.
Yeah, and I also think that sometimes people are not clear enough on what it is. And so people won't opt in then either because
Yeah.
confusion also creates a no. I always say that, like confused mind says no. So it's like sometimes I see people are like, "You want my free thing?" I'm like, "What is it again? Like what is it? Like why? Why do I want it? Like you didn't even tell me what like you didn't make me want it. You just told
Yeah.
me it was free. The value in it isn't that it's free. Like cuz my time isn't free. Like what you were just saying that,
Right.
right? And so I think people like forget about, oh, but I'm not even asking for anything. It's free. But like it's not
But
free.
yes, you are. It's not free.
But
You're
it's like so
asking.
so yeah, so like so think about what are you asking of them in exchange? So for example, for ours, we're asking for an hour of their time on a Monday, right? Or whatever. And so they need to opt in to like giving us an hour of their time because like let's say they're really busy or they don't even want to get on an hour, like they're not going to opt in just because they not because we don't have the most valuable thing ever. It's because they are not willing to give up that hour, right? So how do we break that down? Okay, we say, okay, there's a free replay or whatever. Like there's other ways of going about it. This is like why a lot of people are kind of doing like the 5 minute VSL too. Also like, or they're saying, oh, just give us your information and we'll still send you other information. You'll still get something free, right? But like you have to think about they're talking themselves out of it like of whatever. Okay, do I have 2 hours to read this thing? Do I have Chat GPT to pull up your GPT? Do I even have a software system I could plug this into? Do I have Canva that I could use your template? Like they're already like objecting to all the things they're gonna have to do once they get your free thing, right? Which is like, whoa, but also they're protecting their time and energy, I think, more than ever.
Yeah, for sure. So we have our funnel and we had a lull there in August where we started with our warm traffic. We were as high as 31% for our hot audience. Then it plummeted down to 20%. And then by mid-August, we were at 14%. And we have gotten it back up to 19.9. So what are we doing? First, if you are not using a software that can split test, you are burning money for no reason. So if you are going to spend money on ads, have a system that can create split tests. I just don't know how else to say it. Like, I know you love your beautiful show it templates, but they cannot do split tests. And split tests are like literally the lifeblood of making your money work for you. And so we usually start with the headline and the tagline. Anything above the scroll, the majority of your optimization is going to happen in the top part of that screen. Another thing that people always miss is visuals. Like, I cannot tell you how important it is that you have good visuals if you are asking people to opt in, especially if it's an info product, because it's so esoteric, it's so intangible that the more tangible you can make it, the better. And I know I'm like preaching to the choir here because you're just like, yep, I know. But like, it's amazing that people don't recognize that the visuals matter.
Yeah, I think people are assuming that everyone reads before they understand, but that's not the way that our brains work. We're like, we need like flashcards. Like, like we are so visual. And this is why, as I've said before, like a stop sign is red and it has a shape. So that before we can read the words STOP, we see the red and we see the shape and we know, oh, we're supposed to stop here before we can actually read it. And so this is the same way with the pages, like I also did a talk on bounce, like how people bounce off 70-90% of people bounce off a page within a few seconds. And a lot of that has to do with just like nonverbal kind of, or not like non-written cues of it's at a subconscious level. And it doesn't like whatever they're looking at doesn't feel safe. They don't feel like they belong there. So they leave. So there's so much about design, but also and that's why the headline is so important. Because if they're going to read anything, they're going to read the headline. Mm-hmm. And if the headline isn't enough to get them interested or feel like they're in the right place, they're not going to want to waste their time and they're going to leave. And so, and they're especially not going to opt in. But I think this is also why above the fold is so important. And I think we even really kind of forget that sometimes. Like we kind of bury some stuff down, but it's almost like this balance of you don't want the whole entire page above the fold because then it's like too much information.
You just got to get them. You just got to get them hooked, right?
Yes. So it is a balance, but I think there's the first level is that subconscious level is safety, and that's where design is easiest. Like if you have a bunch of crazy stuff going on or whatever, like it feels uncomfortable, it feels unsafe, and so that can like lead to some uneasiness, So I think besides the headline, like you're saying, I think headline is like number one thing on a page for sure. But before they even read, they're going to see like and get a feel for who you are and what you are. And visuals are really helpful, photos, mock-ups, like just anything visual and not just just a design, like something that leads to safety and feeling like I'm in the right place or you're speaking to the right person, that you're not like, this is not for me. Super duper important.
Yeah. And so with targeting getting less and less and Meta just saying, we're gonna take over the targeting, your positioning, your message has to be build every page for one person and one person alone. Like don't write for a group of people, write for one human in your head. Work on the visuals. Above the fold is most important. For the love, split test and be a funnel optimizer where you can split test and determine winners. And it's almost always there. It's at the top of the page and the bottom of the page. And there was one other thing I was going to say that I can't remember now, but what was it? Oh, well, it left my poor perimenopausal brain.
Well, this is also why, I mean, however they're getting there is important too, because that, True. Like you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but that is also part of the safety is if they think they're going for one reason and then it's disconnected and they're landing on something else and it's not matching up, that creates this dissonance that immediately makes people want to leave because they feel like, because they were already worried that you're bait and switching. And then if you're like, oh yeah, you're right, it is a bait and switch, it's not as good as the ad just said. And they're like, okay, fine, I'm gone. So like whether it's an email, whether it's a social post, whether it's an ad, whether it's an affiliate link, whatever it is, you got to like remember the journey that they got there and how they're feeling when they land there and immediately like feel like it pays off to what they were looking for. So there's like an immediate like, oh yes, I found it. Like gold, like jackpot. I hit what I was looking for. So that's another important thing, but it's almost like an orientation. You just want them to feel like they're there in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So don't despair if your opt-in rates have plummeted. It does not mean that, all, is going to fall to the ground and collapse. It's happening industry-wide. It just gives us an opportunity to innovate, to be more strategic, and to continue to split test. So hopefully that helps. And if you are getting a 20% opt-in rate, you should pat yourself on the back because that is not necessarily a given. As always, if you ever want us to have a specific conversation about a specific topic, please hit us up in the DMs or email us at support@funnelgorgeous.com. We love our listeners and thank you so much for your loyalty. So talk soon, everyone.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're just getting started with this podcast, and we're so excited to have you on this journey with us. If you found value in today's episode, we'd be over the moon if you'd consider subscribing. It's like a virtual high five that keeps us going. And hey, if you're feeling extra gorgeous, leaving a review would mean the world to us. Your words not only make our day, but it also helps other amazing folks just like you find our show through your review. Lastly, if you know someone who could use a little sales pep talk, why not spread the love? Share this episode and let's grow this gorgeous community together.